arts for the military community. So there are two categories. There is spoken word and there is visual art. And today is our showcase day. So this evening from 6:30 to 8:30 we will be sharing the fantastic talents of our visual artists, our winning visual artists. And that will be at the Concert Art Gallery at the Lowry Hotel. So please do join us if you can, but if you can't, don't worry because the exhibition is on until the 12th of November, so please try and see it over the next few weeks. But now it's all about now. Get ready to be inspired by the wonderful and diverse talents of our gorgeous spoken word winners, who are each performing brand new material based on the theme of connections. And where's Tom?
Hello.
Oh, you're right, I should have known you were right. You're right, it's fine. Just to say huge thank you. Tom is our spoken word coach who has guided and mentored each of the performers over the last couple of months. So huge thank you, Tom. Just another quick note, you can see some record cards on the table with a pen. Please use these to leave your feedback. And now I think we need to get started, don't we? And I want to introduce our amazing MC, who's one of the spoken word winners last year. Chorley's finest and funniest. Please welcome to the stage the amazing Jill Charlton!
Or Jilly.
Jilly. Oh yes, Jilly. In the right
Oh,
way of
Jilly.
Yes.
Who's been messing about with this microphone?
Oh,
I'm a trained killer. Fine, Julie. Hello everyone! Oh my god, so I'm Jill. I was one of the spoken word winners last year. I know. I am absolutely thrilled to be back here this year, and it is such an honour to be back on this stage again. I'm actually really surprised that they've let me back in. Those of you that were here last year, you may recall that I ended my set by disclosing that I may or may not have been on a night out in Manchester about 10 years ago. When I wanted to come to Mattenford, I didn't want to pay a fiver on the door. And I noticed that the fire door was slightly ajar. So me and my mates bumped the fire door and managed to walk in. What we didn't count on was walking out into the middle of a performance by a 5-piece jazz quartet who halfway through the Chattanooga choo-choo. Luckily we were all in our jazz hand stage though. So we got our hands in the air and we managed to style it out. We looked like the backing dancers, we just blended into the audience. So I'm really pleased to be back here this year, and I've been asked to say a few words about my experience last year as a Starts Award winner. And when I look back, I can think, what it makes me think of is that when I won the Starts Award, and when I was preparing to come here and perform, I was in a real pivotal part of my life. I was really exploring my identity, because just before I came here, I had recently been given the amazing news that my husband, who was in the army and was a soldier at the time, had promoted to officer. Thank you! Quite a few people know how exciting that is. But what that meant to me was that I had been promoted to officer's wife. I've waited all my life for it. It was quite the experience. Now, I'm really aware that there might be some people in this room that don't have a military background. So I'll explain some of the lingo and jargon that I'm using. The army is very much like any other organisation. It has its managers and it has its workers. So your managers are the officers. The officers are generally recruited directly into the army from wealthy backgrounds, usually upper class. To put into context, that normal people might have had salmon paste butties in the pack lunch when they were growing up. Officers would have had smoked salmon focaccias. And maybe they were regular consumers of olive oils. is a real fancy dinner that all the officers go to and the wives are invited along to. And it's a sort of dinner where you get more than one knife and fork. You know, from my background, that's really confusing. Because usually I only have the one that comes in the lid and the pot goes on. I didn't want to show my husband up, and I was really conscious of my working class background. So I thought to myself, I better ask somebody for red thighs before I go into the mess. And I knew that I had an officer's wife friend, and she was upper class, and I thought I'll ask her. So I asked Felicity for red thighs. And I said, Felicity, how can I go into the mess and not show myself? More importantly, not show Michael. And she said, no, Julie, darling, we have got this. She said, darling, darling. First of all, first on your list is you must not go into the mess and tell people that you are called Jill. That's very common, darling. You need to tell them that you are called Jilly. I said, Jilly? She said, Jilly. So that's what I did. I went in and I said I was called Jilly. She also said, darling, you can't tell people that you are from a northern town called Chorley. You must tell them that you're from Charlotte. And sweetheart, you cannot tell them that you enjoy playing Cards Against Humanity as your main hobby and browsing for bargains in the range. You must tell them, if anybody asks what your main hobby is, you must say, I love frequenting jazz clubs and going to the opening of art exhibitions. Bloody hell, couldn't have been better timed. She then said to me, last thing, Jill, you need to make sure that you do not go in and walk up to the bar and order your usual glass of Lamborghini. You must ask for something red, rich, and fruity, and full-bodied. That's the only thing that will do. And then she gave me some advice on how to dress. Oh, sorry, I just can't believe I just told you that, so just remember what happened next. Right, stop it. It did not go well. I tried my best. I memorised my hobbies, practiced saying, I'm Julie from Charlotte. I don't know if it went wrong when I walked in and I went to the bar and I ordered a pint of Vimto. Or if the reason I'm not allowed back there is because I grossly misunderstood what she said. And she said, make sure you turn up wearing a pearl necklace. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not allowed back in the officer's mess, but thank God they've let me back in here today. Last year's award. So quite a few, so we've got a few people that weren't here last year as well. What I would like to say, and from my own experience as well, is we've got 5 amazing performers. I've seen them in rehearsals and they are going to blow your minds. They're also maybe slightly nervous, and what's going to help them with their nerves is a rousing and wonderful round of applause from you all. So if we could all practice now, we'd like this side to start, the round of applause, and we're going to work across the room. Go!
Wander through this world of so many people, and you see the souls that connect with links invisible to many. A myriad of colours intertwined like a rainbow sublime, showing God's grace and Mother Nature's hand. Look closely. Watch the colours as they blend and souls all join together. The earth abounds with life and everything is held close. There are spinning strands of love running through us all. See the animals wander around, insects scurry away. Spiders make many feel unsafe, and yet will run away as fast as can be. They too are part of the life held within the earth. Now, watch the twisting, winding links, for they really are there. dreams of disconnect within tugs at me. My soul craves the completeness of the earth, the happiness for the children as they grow and as they reach out for more. Life changes with the wind as their souls mature and look to the world. For the links to extend and love is changed, twisting and finding their own truth. The souls of all living beings connect to the earth and the heavens. And yet so many walk around holding their lives within a box, talking and ignoring everything and everyone around them. Self is mirrored in the screen with eyes glued, blind to the needs of the world and those they pass. And so, slowly, souls start to wither and the links begin to fade. How does Mother Earth show her anger for those who walk her lands when war destroys? Then the heavens open and the grounds tremble underneath. Skies bleed, lightning hits, and the earth fights back. As humanity becomes more selfish and refuses to look at the life around, so much is lost. History and memories are more than the past. They are the future too. So, when you wander around your world, will you look for the soul within? Open your eyes. Find the links that connect heaven, earth, and all living things. So many colours abound, rainbows between these souls, looking and seeing. What can I say to all of you? Open your eyes. Look for the links between the homeless child you passed and the one holding your hand, or the flowers as they bloom and the weeds that give life to so many. So much missed for the safety of the little box in your hand. Like the piper, it leads you away from those around. Smiles faded, pain hidden and unacknowledged, shared to the phony world inside. Identity fades for social fame. Smiling children, not understanding why parents ignore, as links slowly die and the colour fades. For the love of a parent gives the soul of the child strength. Colours glow and the world starts to heal. For the young are the future, to be nurtured and loved. My question to you is simple, but true. How do we ensure the souls of the earth continue to be the life of the world? Linking everything, including you. When do we stop the descent into chaos? For that will be the end of the earth and the souls within. How do we stop the chaos and give the young a future and the earth a life well deserved?
Well, that was absolutely fantastic. If you could keep your applause going. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce somebody that I first met a couple of years ago on a stand-up comedy course. We have since performed in many venues, but today it is really, really special to introduce to you. If you would like to start your round of applause again from this side, centre, this way, the amazing Jamie, assisted by the wonderful Freddie.
Make sure, oh my days. Oh my days, how are you going? Oh, you got... Get a bit tangled. Oh my day. So my name's Jamie Weller. I'm used to be a bit of a London geezer, but now I live in Nottingham. I'm an openly blind comic, and he's looking a bit tired, isn't he? This is my guide dog, Freddie. He's a beautiful golden retriever. Anyway, it's great to be here today. Being a Stars Award winner, amazing. Now, you guys on the front, you may be thinking to yourself, how's a blind comic differ from a sighted comic? Well, all I can say is that those on the front row, if you want to go for a piss, you can go, because I'm not going to see you. Now, I always get asked two questions. The first one I get, how long have you been blind, mate? Have you always been blind? Second one is, oi, mate, what are you doing in here? This is a ladies' toilet. Now, I've been blind for a few years now, and I lost my sight while I was serving in the Royal Navy. But it's those simple things in life that I miss. You know, it's about, you know, putting toothpaste onto a toothbrush. How do you do that? Or going to the loo. Now, when I first lost my sight, I thought to myself, so I'll be in the toilet, and I really used to enjoy reading the books, newspapers. And I'd be sitting there, I think, so I'm sitting there doing my business, and I get out my tissue paper. I'm not shy, by the way. And I start, and I think to myself, and I wouldn't get too close, because I don't want to, I develop this sniff test. But you've all done it, haven't you? You know, you've all done it. You've dropped it on the floor, and you'll be looking around, and I always pick up the wet bit. Now, I'm just going to slip this one in there. The gang heard this one. So last night, I was staying in the Premier Inn, and I was sitting there having my breakfast, and this lady, I could tell this lady was sort of like watching me. She came over and she said, just been looking at your guide dog. He's beautiful, isn't he? And she goes, yeah. I said, he's beautiful. And she goes, what breed is he? I said, oh, he's a new, I had a little twinkle in my eye. I said, he's a new type of guide dog, which he's half Labrador and half Dyson. She said, Dyson? Freddie? So I got this little bit of croissant. Ready? Upset. And I chucked this little bit of croissant on the floor. I said, there you go. He's going to hoover it up. Come round here, Fred. Come round here. Now, if he nuts me in the nuts, he's not trained to do that. Sit down there. He's a good boy. Yeah. Sit down there. Now, being visually impaired, I've got a little talking phone, a little Apple phone, and it talks to me like this. There's a little screen reader in there. And one day I was, just got to make sure I don't fall off the stage. So one day I was in Pret a Manger and I was doing my bits and bobs and my little keyboard out and doing my admin. And I could feel these eyes on me again. And I put in that woman from the Premier Inn again. Anyway, so I'm sitting there and I could hear this, feel this on my eyes. And this lady came over. She goes, I'm watching you, sir. And she goes, I'm sort of like, what are you doing? Why is your phone talking? So I said, well, I'm visually impaired, and I told her all about it. I mean, I had a guide dog there. I thought, well, anyway. So she says, and I could tell the brains were ticking over, and she was sort of like wanting to ask me more questions and more. And then she said to me, do you work? And I had this little twinkle in my eye. I said, yeah, I do. And I said, I work for British Airways. She said, British Airways? She said, yeah. I said, yeah. She goes, wow, what do you do for British Airways? And I said, well, I'm going to be the first blind British Airways pilot. She said, no, you're having a laugh. And I said, no. Because obviously I was in the Navy. I know all about aircraft. So I said, look, Boeing and British Airways, it's all about biodiversification and inclusion. We're developing this new cockpit. And it's a fully accessible cockpit. All the displays are going to be talking like my phone, and they're going to have little braille bits on. And she said, that's amazing. I said, yeah, I was all deadpan like. She says, that's amazing. I said, yeah, true story. So she says, so I said, I'm talking through all the displays and that, and I said, it tells me my engine pressure and my, I said, the passengers get a bit scared though when I walk up with Phred up the stairs and turn left into the cockpit. And then she goes, how do you navigate? I said, well, that's easy. You've heard of Amazon Alexa, haven't you? She looked at me. She goes, Amazon Alexa? I said, yeah, on the right side of the cockpit. I said, just over there on the right. I said, so I'm there at London Heathrow, and I say, take me to runway 20, and off we trundle. And then on the left, she goes, what happens if it breaks down, Amazon Alexa? I said, well, I've got Google Assist on the left-hand side. So she goes, wow, that's amazing. She goes, do you have any trouble flying? I said, well, it's the takeoffs. She goes, what do you mean the takeoffs? I said, well, British Airways, they've given me dispensation to keep the cabin door open. She goes, why is that? I said, well, I'm on the runway, and I put the throttles up, full thrust, off brakes, and off we go. And as soon as the passengers go, fucking hell, I pull back. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jamie Weller. This is Freddie the Guide Dog. Hope you enjoy your afternoon. Thank you very much.
Just watch me awkwardly put this back on again. What did I tell you? It's so funny, isn't it? Oh my God. I wish he'd not told that gag at the end though, because I'm flying to Benidorm to do some stand-up at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. And I'm a bit worried that BA might have rolled that scheme out to EasyJet. Just in case, I think that as we're setting off down the runway, when I think it's time for us to lift up off the ground, I might be the one passenger that goes, fucking hell! Just to make sure that we get there on time. Goodness me. So as I was sat there, I was thinking about this year's theme of connections. And it got me thinking about how connected I am. I was in the army for 24 years, and as you can imagine, when you move away from home as a young girl, it's not always easy to stay in contact with your family. I lived down south for quite a long time, as you can probably tell from my accent. I picked up a twang. Never of you, Sue. Truth bomb. So I lived down south, and when I was down there, it was quite hard to keep in contact with my family, especially as though we weren't doing everything in our little box in our hands and all that sort of stuff. But now I've left the army, I live back up north, and I live closer to my family. It's a lot easier to stay in contact because we have a family WhatsApp group. Does anyone in here have a family WhatsApp group as well? Yeah? Interesting, isn't it? I like to call it the family What's Up group. My family WhatsApp group is really interesting because in that group plays out every dynamic that there is in my family. There's quite a lot, but I'd like to explain some of them to you here today. The first purpose that it serves is it allows my mum to keep tabs on my dad. Make sure he's behaving himself and call out any inappropriate behaviour by putting a strongly worded, John, delete that, in the WhatsApp group. It's a bit rich because she left him over 30 years ago and they've been divorced forever, but she still likes to keep him in check. The second purpose it serves is it saves anybody having to go to the drama to direct message anybody else that is in the WhatsApp group with anything that they want to tell them that has nothing to do with the rest of us. You can imagine my joy when I'm really, really busy writing comedy and I get a notification, I open up my phone and it's my niece asking her dad to take her to college again. The other thing is it's good for conflict resolution. Growing up, I've got one brother, and growing up we would always argue. And if we argued, if I said something that my brother didn't like, it'd usually be a big explosion and one of us would storm out the room or the other one would get someone in a headlock. But now, if I say something in the WhatsApp group that my brother doesn't like, we're all adults, so we can manage it appropriately. There's no headlocks. I've stopped doing that now that I'm grown up. But now what happens is my brother just passive-aggressively leaves the WhatsApp group, leaving everybody wonder what I said this time. But we do use it as a force for good. And a really good example of this was last week. I don't know if anybody else here went outside last week. There was this wonderful natural phenomenon in the skies over the UK. And a lot of people that I saw on my Facebook feed were taking pictures of these beautiful pictures of the sky. And I was no different. So I went outside my house when I saw it coming up on Facebook, and I too took some beautiful pictures of the pink aromas in the sky. It's like the Northern Lights, something like that. Did you take some? Bet you did. Bet you did. And when I put it in my WhatsApp group, my brother and my cousin and my nephew, they'd been outside as well, and they'd taken some lovely photographs of these smells too. They were quite beautiful. My niece had taken one as well, and she joined the army last year, so she's down on the south coast, but even she could see it. And I had this wonderful moment where I thought, even though we're separated from her by miles, we've all stood on our doorsteps tonight, and we've all pointed our cameras up at the same sky and taken the same photograph. And it really grounded me, and it made me feel connected to everybody in that family WhatsApp group, until my mum ruined it. There was a little ping. It said Mum Beverly Duckworth, because I put her full name in. And my mum had put, those pictures are lovely. I'm going to go outside now and take one myself. Where is it? It's in the bloody sky, Mum. It's in the bloody sky. Anyway, that's enough from me about my bloody family WhatsApp group. I'll get in trouble if they find out about this. I would like you all to give a wonderful Matt and Phred's round of applause as we welcome to the stage the very talented and wonderful Rue Bryant. Keep it going. She only got little legs, take her a while. There she is.
Still feels a bit high, but we'll go with it. Okay. Right. This is called On Seeking. I made a rug once, a latch hook thing, a unicorn on blue backing. But on the day I completed it, my grandmother died, and somehow in my mind, the two events tied together. And I cried because I thought I had sealed her fate with my needle. I didn't understand at the time that my hands could make a rug that didn't steal my grandmother's love away. I remember the night after her funeral, lying in a field, gap-toothed 7, cold grass beneath me, staring up at the vastness of the sky, wondering if that was heaven and where Grandma went, whether all of those constellations were not a coincidence, but a destination on a map knitted by my ancestors to call her home. I imagined my rug was the floor, and their blanket was the ceiling, and Grandma was sleeping, holding the world in the crooks of her elbows. I lay for a while, swaddled in the blanket of my ancestors' stars, in my grandmother's arms, my great-grandmother's arms, my great-great-grandmother's arms, as connected to the distant universe as I was to the cord that grew me in my mother's womb. I felt then that all that I loved was out there. The world knew me, and I belonged to it. It felt infinite, divine. I wish I could have held on to that comfort, but it was fleeting. And my life since has been a journey of seeking to belong and to connect again and again, in mountains and seas, in the warm crackle of wood in the hearth, in lovers, in change, in burning bridges and new horizons. I have sought to connect. I have sought to belong, to be loved, to find my map, to recreate divinity. But those moments always passed away, slipped from my hands, and I have felt despairing and lost, convinced that I could not hold on to love. At some point, at my lowest ebb, someone said to me, "The only way out is in." And it was tempting to crush their gentleness, to barrel on. But wisdom is sticky and it would not be dismissed. And eventually I realized I needed to surrender my needle to the twists of fate, to stop my life's manic flow, to let go. I was afraid of what I would find when I called off the search and looked within, turned my eyes to the tapestry of my life. I studied the patterns that I had weaved blindly. But now, instead of grass and sky, I traced my fingers across where and why. The beauty, the love, the wildness, the chemistry. Every moment of alchemy, I followed them to their converging point through the open door. And there was a rug on the floor, and a blanket on the bed, and on the kitchen table, a needle and thread. And I saw my grandma and the universe in frames on the walls, and the walls were in my chest and beating. Here, in this place, was the end to my seeking. I had found the source of divinity. The only thing I had yet to love, the unsighted object of my frantic search, was me.
Well done, that was absolutely incredible. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could keep the applause coming as we welcome to the stage our next act. Next, we have Claire Hughes, who is reading a beautifully honest and touching piece.
Hi everyone, this is my interpretation of connection. For me, love didn't happen instantly. For me, love did not flood my bones. The rush of magic remained unknown. Seeds of eternal, uncompromising love were not sown. For me, that maternal bond was not forged in the baptism of birth. When his slap-back, wrinkled, dust-covered body entered the earth, nobody tied us together. Nobody knotted our skin together or knitted our flesh until it made a well-packaged, perfect pattern of motherhood. I guess nobody could. There was a fanfare, of course. Choruses of congratulations and well done and aren't you a clever thing? I nodded. I cried. I looked down into my baby's eyes and tried to figure out what I felt. I knew I felt joy. I felt joy and relief, but the belief that I would now drown in undying love was unfounded. Okay, I thought. Love didn't happen instantly for me. 20 to 8 on a rain-soaked Saturday morning is not my time. It'll happen in the next few hours. But the hours that followed were a hollow-filled haze of blood loss and exhaustion. Love surely would not arrive to red-soaked sheets and a mother between worlds. Love couldn't find me, couldn't find my baby who slept peacefully beside me, waiting for me to come back and to figure it out. but I didn't. 12 hours after he swam into this world, I could finally plant my feet firmly back on the ground and say, I'm here. I'm here and I'm your mother. But as we sat alone, in that lilac curtained cocoon, all I could think was, I'm happy you're here. And I think I could love you. I think I could care for you, but it's your dad I want right now. And how can that be right? I tell no one. How can I admit that I love this baby's dad more than him? The margin is thin, but it's there, slow and true. And who is there to trust such information to? So I stay quiet. I take my baby home and I pack each day with walks to Tesco. Him in his red hooded pram, sleeping as I push him along. Or walks with the dogs. Him strapped to my chest in a black and red carrier, sleeping as we walk across open fields. I walk. And I walk. And he sleeps and he eats and he wriggles when I change his nappy. And all this we parcel up into neat red ribbon presents, counting each day as a gift. That hollow-filled haze morphs into milk bottle days, but now the sun shines through. And it shines on that seed, the one I didn't think had been sown. There's no way I could have known that it was there all along, wedged in the very atriums of my heart. And the sun beats down on it now, and it starts to grow. It starts to bloom and blossom. And when he's 4 weeks old, and he's dressed in a Harry Potter baby grow, and we're sat on the sofa, he smiles. And that seed of eternal love, it grows, it blooms, it blossoms, and it overflows into a stream of golden fruit. The roots twist and bind us together into this woven nest of mycelium. For me, love didn't happen instantly. There was no rush, no flood. But in that moment, on the sofa, at 4 weeks postpartum, it arrived. It arrived like snowdrops arriving in spring. It arrived on an ordinary day, slow and true. For me, that mother's love changed everything I knew. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Wasn't she incredible? I don't know about you, but I was sat thinking about my own relationship with my children while she was saying that, and also my relationship with my parents as well. And it made me think about how much closer I am now that I've moved back near to my hometown of Blackburn to my parents, especially my dad, John. Or the buffet slayer, as he's known down the pub, Tom. Oh, my dad is great. He's a real northern geezer, knows everything about everything, and he's got a lot of time on his hands because he has recently retired. My dad worked for over 30 years for the NHS. I think that deserves a round of applause. Thank you. I thought you'd all forgotten what you learned stood on your doorstep then a few years ago. NHS, woo! Yeah, so what's happened since my dad's retired is what happens to most people is he's been able to find lots and lots more time for his hobbies and to do all those things that he was never able to do for so many years because he was so busy working. So far, I've discovered my dad has 3 main hobbies. The first one is hanging around my house, subtly suggesting that he moves into my annex. The second one is telling anyone who will listen about the absolute bargain he got on his brand new Dodger Duster. And the third one is hanging around my conservatory in Charlotte, chuntering away to himself, watching the BBC News and getting wind up about anything that comes into his head. I used to be able to enjoy a brew in the morning in peace and quiet, but now my dad's around, all I can hear in the conservatory is, fucking hell, fucking country, fucking state of this place, bloody budget, lying bastards. Get your Sunak, bloody Rishi Starmer, all them bloody idiots. What sort of you doing hanging round bloody jazz clubs? She thinks she's it now. She lives in Charlotte, silly bitch. Fucking hell. Oh, God, but I do love him. Anyway, I digress. From one grumpy northern man to another, I would now like to introduce our final act today. Closing the show, we have the wonderful Matt Whiteman. He is going to take you on a very personal journey, told with courage, anger, humour, and hope. Over to you.
I don't know what you're on about, grumpy. Anyway, does anybody remember Dr. Dot picture books? Yeah? I do. And I like to think of my life used to be, well, it is a bit like a Dr. Dot picture. Only my dots don't really have numbers, and, well, I've no idea which one I'm off to next. But I do know the first one. Dot, 30th of September, 1968, and my mum's waters popped suddenly at a party. And I, metaphorically speaking, of course, surfed onto the scene. Now, what about all the other dots? I like to think I arrived to applause and champagne corks popping, but probably not, you know. Like, my dad was a vicar, my mum was a vicar's wife, and I was 3 of 4 children. And we weren't all born at parties. In fact, I think my brother was very nearly born at high speed in a sidecar bolted to the side of a BSA motorbike, you know. But like I say, what about all the other dots, the ones between then and now? Well, I like to think of them as memories, and here's just a few of mine. Dot, summer 1980, and I arrived back home from a village old jumble sale with a giant box of Commando comics and action men, you know, with gripping hands and eagle eyes. Do you know, some of the later ones even had blue underpants, but that's by the by. Now let's set the scene. A warm summer's morning, a 4-man recon patrol led by eagle-eyed blue pants lies in a shallow hollow in the lawn awaiting for pickup by Tank Commander Dave Percy. Dave Percy wasn't an action man, no. Dave was my pet rat, and he was the perfect size to fit in the action man tank, and he loved being pushed around in it, loved it. Anyway, where were we? Oh yeah, recon patrol waiting for pickup. The rumbling, clanking sound gets louder and closer, closer and louder. There was no pickup though. By the time Dave and me got there, it was carnage. There was nothing we could do. There were bodies and limbs everywhere. Eagle Eye's head was in a bird bath, just bobbing and staring at me. My brother, he just kept on pushing the lawnmower. Dot, 1982. I joined the Army Cadets, and the Falklands War's on, and it seems to be on television screens everywhere and in the newspapers. I figure out what I want to do with my life, so Dot, 1984, I joined the Army. I'm only 15 and a half. I joined as a junior leader. But I last 6 months and I leave because the character building beatings get too much. But at least I did get to help to win a Golden Egg Award on Noel Edmonds' Late Late Breakfast Show, as we managed to cram over 100 rather small soldiers onto the back of a Land Rover. So, Dot, 1986. The bullies are not going to beat me, so I decide to re-enlist. Now at the grand old age of 17, I go into adult basic training. I join in the march, I work hard, determined that I'm going to do it this time. And in July, I pass out and join my regiment. Now that's not easy. When I'm there, I find my feet, make some of the best friends that I will ever have. Some I've got to this day. But at last, finally, I'm a soldier. And you know what? It feels fucking awesome. Dot, 1987. We deployed to Northern Ireland, the Troubles, for a 2-year residential posting. We alternate between rural patrols in South Armagh, bandit country, and urban patrols in West Belfast. Dot, shootings. Dot, explosions. Bang! My roommate commits suicide. Real soldiers are not made of plastic. Guns are not fucking toys. It's not funny. It's not a comic book. Death and sorrow are everywhere. Proud parents get a knock at the door that they've been dreading. Teenage wives become widows. And young children will grow up only ever knowing their dad as the smart young man in the picture next to mum's bed. The one that she kisses goodnight every night. The one that she clutches tightly to her chest as she cries herself to sleep once a year on his birthday. Soldiers are not just a uniform. Beneath the camouflage and the bravado beats a heart of someone who just wants to be back home with the one they love. Dot. March the 12th, 1994. I married Debs, the love of my life. 2 weeks later, I'm in Bosnia as a UN peacekeeper. Now, one of the jobs we had was to patrol the buffer zones between the warring factions. And during a break in one of these patrols, a group of kids approached the back of our vehicle. And this one lad, he comes forward and he smiles as I offer out my packed lunch, and he just reaches in and he takes away a pack of 3 bourbon biscuits. Our interpreter looks at me and says, "Thank you for this, thank you." "It's just biscuits." "No, this is more than biscuits. I know this boy, I know him. This is the first time I have seen him smile since both his parents were killed. War is shit, but it's still nice to be nice. Dot. October 1999. I finally left the army, and it took quite a long time for me to come to terms with some of those dots. But then I started to think about the lines between the dots, because they're the journeys we take, they paint the picture, they make us who we are. And I've enjoyed a lot of those journeys between the dots. I don't know which dot I'm going to next, but who knows? I just know that, yeah, I was a soldier once. I'm proud of that, I really am. But still, I'm a husband, I'm a son, I'm a brother, I'm a friend. And you know what? Every now and again, I might even still be an action man. Thank you.
Oh, wasn't that absolutely amazing from our very own action man? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm really sorry to tell you, but that is the end of today's showcase. Haven't they been amazing? I'd like to thank all of our performers this afternoon, and I would also like to invite them all back up onto the stage to a rapturous round of applause from you all. If I could have back up here Kim, Jamie, Rue, Claire and Matt. More rapturous, please. And now. And again. Thank you very much. I would like to remind everybody about the private viewing of the exhibition following this at 6:30. Rich is waving something at me. Fill your cards in, please. I was about to get to that, Rich. Make sure you fill your cards in with feedback. Only positive feedback accepted. The rest goes in the shredder. Finally, I'd like to thank Matt and Phred and Helen for supporting us this afternoon as well. Yay! And I would also, on behalf of all the performers and myself and everybody that took part in the Starts Awards last year, like to say a big thank you to Sue, to Lydia and to Tom, with whom we could not have done this without.
She's over there.
She doesn't want to come back on stage. She is absolutely marvellous. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. We will give you one last bow and then we will hand over to Helen. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
I wasn't going to let her hide completely.